Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We do have a budget in the state, so the government is not going to close down for any time. However, whose budget is this? Daniel Munoz is the political reporter for NJ BIZ. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Is this Sweeney's budget or Murphy's budget?
To some degree, both. On the one hand, Murphy got a lot of the things he wanted to appropriate, things like opioids, things like New Jersey Transit. So he said it's 90-something% of what he wanted. Murphy said that. But on the other hand, Sweeney didn't. Sweeney managed to send him a budget that didn't have the millionaire's tax Murphy wanted, didn't have these opioid manufacturer fees, didn't have fees on employers who they have their employees on Medicaid because they don't offer their own health care plans. So I think that really would be determined in the coming days. Today being on this day would be determined in the coming days who ultimately comes out ahead.
Who's going to be in, what he's going to take out, because he hasn't signed it yet. We're recording this before he signed it, so he can still take some things out.
Definitely.
So we'll have to wait to see what's in and what's out of there. But two of the big things that Phil Murphy ran on is the millionaire's tax, and I was watching the debate, the Democratic debate, and he's running an ad, a really good ad, by the way, pushing for the millionaire's tax. I thought it was dead.
Well, the governor has indicated in the weeks leading up to this that he's going to push for this beyond June 30th. He's like, whether we do June 30th or I think he said like September or any month, like he's going to keep pushing for tax fairness. But the Senate president has said, Senate President Sweeney has said that unless there are more fiscal reforms, more changes to things like pension and health care for public workers, then that's essentially going to be dead in the water if the governor tries to do that again next year.
So one of the things Sweeney wants is he wants to overhaul the pension system, and he wants the state workers that are in unions to pay for more of health care and to contribute, and he eventually wants to turn the pension system into a 401k like many private companies. Is there any possibility he gets that?
Well, it's a 401k pension hybrid, so it's like pension up to a certain amount and then 401k above that. It's a bit deadlocked at the moment. Murphy has been opposed to that. He said some rather strong words about both those proposals, the healthcare and pension cuts. He was like, workers are going to pay more, they're going to get lower quality retirement packages and healthcare. Sweeney shot back later on that day saying like, well, that's not correct. This is better for the state. So it's a lot of political back and forth that we're used to right now.
Many people say that the pension crisis is the biggest problem in the state. It's the reason that we've been downgraded so many times by Moody's and others.
Right.
Do you agree with that? And if you do, what is Murphy's plan?
Murphy has said that, well, he wants to get to the full 100% pension obligation. He's told me the idea is to grow the darn economy, mainly his words. But the specifics of what he wants to do don't really seem to be made clear about what specifically he'd want to do.
Do you agree that it's the biggest problem in the state?
It's definitely the biggest, because it's dragged the credit rating down, and because it's such a point of political tension with the public worker unions.
So it's kind of a big deal that the governor doesn't have a plan for that.
Right.
Yeah. So it plays right into this divide between the Senate President, Steve Sweeney, and the governor, Phil Murphy.
For sure.
How big of a problem is that going to be going forward, the fact that those two seem to not get along?
We've seen it with marijuana legalization attempts. We saw it with tax breaks. We've seen it with a lot of big ticket issues that Murphy has campaigned on, and they're either not getting done or they're being slowed down. It took the minimum wage increase quite a long time to get that past the governor's desk and signed into law. And so it's going to be a lot of slowdown of things that a lot of people have indicated they want to see some action on for something to move forward.
I read one of your articles, by the way, on NJ BIZ, and you talked about the fact that Steve Sweeney is now open to decriminalization, which could kill legalized recreational marijuana if he goes ahead and decriminalizes it.
Well, it's more of he's open to sort of the discussions, he's willing to consider it. It's not like a flat out, we're going to do this, but he said he's going to meet with Senator Ron Rice, who's chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, and he really pushed for it yesterday with a number of other people of color, a number of other lawmakers. So it's something that he's having discussions for, which is not a hard no, but we're not going to see on Monday Sweeney sponsoring a bill for decriminalization. It could be some time.
Where do you see this going? Do you think it's possible that Steve Sweeney will primary Phil Murphy in the next gubernatorial election?
I don't know at this point. He said he hasn't ruled it out. He hasn't said a hard no, but he said a lot really depends. Sweeney has said that. Well, there's still a number of years before that ends up happening, and Murphy and him have a lot of a chance to work together, is what Sweeney has said as recently as yesterday during a press gaggle after the Senate session.
But the way you laid it out, and you tell me if this is right or wrong, the only way that Phil Murphy gets his millionaire tax is if Sweeney gets some concessions on taking on the pension problem. And one is not going to exist without the other.
No, Sweeney has seemed to be even skeptical at that point. I don't get that reading into it, reading at Sweeney's, his language of what he's saying. He would have rather seen the corporate business tax raised to 3% and not sunset after.
So even if he gets
years.
what he wants, you don't see him ever coming along for the millionaire tax?
At this point, no. I don't think so.
And so we're seeing all these ads from Phil Murphy pushing for the millionaire tax, something, by the way, he criticized Chris Christie for doing.
Right.
And yet, without Sweeney, that's not going anywhere.
Right. And now Sweeney could change his mind. They have come to an agreement on other things. They have to come to agreements on things. So if Murphy ends up agreeing to more of Sweeney's concessions, maybe.
It'll be fun to watch. I know you'll be watching it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in. Daniel Munoz,
thank you for having
political
me.
reporter for NJ BIZ. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, electric cars find religion in Newark. We'll explain when we come right back.